Does your golf swing look like this? Well, don't be discouraged. Stay tuned for Modern Golf, featuring Dave Hill, one of America's fine young touring professionals, and Hal Scheidler, the man who believes everyone can break 80. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Modern Golf. My name is Hal Scheidler, and I do believe that everyone can break 80, at least occasionally. That's the purpose of our program, to help you to build an image of a good golf swing in your own mind. We have a very simplified method of teaching, which everyone can understand, which we're certain will take a few strokes off your game if you'll just stay with us from week to week. Right now, I'd like for you to meet one of the fine young touring professionals in America today, Mr. Dave Hill. Dave is an ardent student of the game and a real sweet swinger who hits them a mile. Davey, welcome once again to the show.
Well, thank you, Hal. And today for the show, I thought we'd use the pitching wedge. I believe that we can show the players how to take 1 to 3 shots off their game, using it correctly around the greens. And later in the show, I think we'll go to the 4-wood.
Fine, and also later in the show, in fact, right along about the end of the show, Dave will be playing one of the really tough holes in competition with himself. That is, he'll be playing one ball with one hand and one ball with two hands, a very interesting experiment which a lot of people have found most intriguing. We think that you will too. We're just about ready to go to work on this beautiful day, young fella.
Right, Hal.
See you down at the practice tee in just 1 minute. Here's young Mr. Hill with one of his favorite practice routines. Now, Davey always hits a few shots in this manner. To be certain, the left arm will never forget the important part it plays in the golf swing. The big secret is the proper release of the right hand immediately following impact. The firm left arm, solid head position, and a constant effort to overemphasize hitting with the left hand are the keys to a really good golf swing. We constantly stress this in all our shows, so you right-hand hitters can stand by. We'll prove to you, and you can prove to yourself, that immediately following impact with the ball, the right hand actually becomes a deterrent and is primarily responsible for most faults. One of the primary purposes of modern golf is to teach the correct use of the correct club at the correct time. I believe that one of the most misused clubs in the bag is the pitching wedge. Right, Dave?
Yes, Hal. The number of amateurs I've played with have sort of proven that. 80% of them use the pitching wedge for almost every shot you can think of, from 120 yards out to a foot from the green.
And it does have its proper place, but in many instances, either the 7-iron or the 8-iron or even the 6-iron would serve a better purpose around the green.
Well, that's for sure. I think the pitching wedge comes in handy from over bunkers when you got a little bit of green to work with, the pin setting close to you, and you want to carry the ball on the green. The pitching wedge is the club to use. But when you got 30, 40 foot of green and you don't have any trouble in front of you, the pitch and run is the shot to use for the amateur. It'll save him a lot of shots.
One thing we didn't talk about before either, Dave, is the head position on this. This is the shot that you have to look at and stay in all the way, or we come up with our well-known little chili dip, right?
That's for sure. It's easy to put the club behind the ball. As far as I call that, sticking it in the ground, and this is caused from looking up, and this is a big habit of everybody that I know of.
I'm sure you, as a touring professional, you never chili dip 'em, do you, Davey?
That's pretty good. I've stuck in the ground so many times I quit counting. I've had a lot of occasions to try to use the pitching wedge, and when I needed it, and walk up and hit it about 3 foot in front of me, and I almost covered the ball with my divot.
And this excites you a little bit, I'm quite sure.
Well, you get a little hot under the collar.
Well, Davey, I know that today we're going to try to show them the right place to use the pitching wedge and the right time to use it, so how about getting out to the practice tee?
Well, we'll go right at it.
Good. We'll see you out there. Now, here's a perfect situation for use of the pitching wedge. Dave has to go over this bunker and then stop the ball very quickly. This calls for good timing, and considerable practice is necessary to become really proficient with this shot. You'll note that Dave is finished and is facing the hole, watching the flight of the ball, and that the club is still extended toward the pin. Here you'll see how necessary it is to strike the ball on the downswing. Now remember, always strike the ball first and then the turf. Now this imparts backspin to the ball, and you can stop the forward motion very quickly. Dave has a rather common fault of coming off the ball a little too soon. He will occasionally miss a normally simple shot just because of letting the head get away a fraction of a second too soon. If there's anything that infuriates a touring pro, it's to come off of the ball, let the right shoulder drop, and what we were talking about earlier, chili dip one. Now notice that the hands are always ahead of the ball at address, and remember, this is the position the hands must be in when contact with the ball is made. Unless you start this way, you have a real problem. Note, too, that the golf swing, even with the short pitching wedge, goes all the way to the feet. There's very little body motion in the short wedge shot. It's almost entirely hands and arms. Now, this eliminates a great margin of error, and that's the answer in golf. The less margin for error, the less trouble you can get into. Now, in this situation, the shot complexion changes completely. Here, the hands are even further ahead of the ball, and the wrists are practically locked. The face of the club is slightly closed or hooded, and the firm left arm just drags the club through the hitting area with very little wrist motion. The wrists are practically locked. The left arm is straight and firm, the head is still, and there's the answer to a good little pitch and run. Remember that on this shot, the hands are very firm, even more so than in many of the longer shots. The club head must never be permitted to stop. Even when you dig in and get into the turf a little too deeply, the hands continue to drive directly at the hole, the head stays still, the hands keep moving, and the shot comes off the way you intended it to. Now, this is the way the pros do it. Dave is coming over a bunker, hitting on a downhill slope, and still is able to stop the ball very, very close to the pin. This is what we call getting it up and down. And when you can get it up and down, make four when you miss that green, you're a player. Now, we've pretty much covered the short work with the pitching wedge, and I think we should go out to the longer shots because there will be occasions when you'll want to use the pitching wedge for anywhere from, 75 up to possibly 95 yards. We heartily recommend that the average amateur does not try to hit this club over 95 yards, although some of the professionals may. Let's go back out now and watch Dave in the full shots with the pitching wedge. This is the birdie shot. The pitching wedge from about 60 yards. Notice how quickly the ball stops. This comes from striking down at the ball, hitting the ball first and then the turf, taking a divot, letting the hands move right on through the shot, and stopping the ball very quickly. Now, in this view, I want you to note the head position and the left arm. While the entire body will move out from under the head as the arms drive through the shot, the head remains perfectly still until the ball is gone, and here's the result. Once again, looking directly at the ball with both eyes, the left hand pushes the club back, the left arm pulls the club through the ball, the body weight shifts all the way to the left side, and once again, it's birdie time. Here's the full shot with the pitching wedge. Now, no one should hit the pitching wedge any harder than this. Remember, always swing within yourself, strike down, get a divot like that, and you've hit a golf shot. Right now, I thought it'd be a good idea if we dwelt, at least for a little bit, on the grip. The grip is the most important part of the golf game because without a good grip, you will never play consistently good golf. This is your only connection with the striking force, the golf club, so make that grip a good one. I'm going to ask Dave now to demonstrate the grip as he uses it. First of all, you'll notice that the club lies in the palm and the fingers. Now, the grip in the left hand is with the back 3 fingers of the left hand. Remember that, the grip, the back 3 fingers of the left hand. The thumb is just slightly to the right of the center line of the golf club. Now, the right hand goes on facing the left hand. The grip in the right hand is with the first 2 fingers and the thumb of the left hand fits into the palm of the right hand so that the hands are very closely knit together and operate almost as one unit. Now, this is a standard to strong grip used by the professionals and by Dave. Dave, would you show us? You use the overlapping grip, right?
Yes, Hal, I sure do.
You notice that the little finger of the right hand simply laps over the forefinger of the left hand, thus enabling the hands to work very closely together and to operate as one unit. Now, Dave, for some of the weaker players, particularly women, I think we'd like to show them a little stronger grip, and the stronger grip comes from the position of the left hand. The grip is the same in the back 3 fingers of the left hand, but in this case, the thumb is moved slightly to the right of the center line, so that if you were standing directly in front of the player, you can see the full 2 knuckles and all a little bit of the 3rd knuckle of the left hand. Now, the right hand goes on, again facing the left hand, but slightly over from what it was with the other grip. Also, in getting a stronger grip, and again, particularly for women, some of them like to go to the 10-finger grip, what a lot of sports writers like to call the baseball grip, although that is a misnomer. The grip is the same in the first 2 fingers and the thumb of the right hand, the back 3 fingers of the left hand, but all fingers are on the club shaft and there is no overlap. And Dave, don't you think that in many cases this will give women a little better hand feel?
Yes, they don't lose the club so often, Hal. Many women lose the club at the top, and this way they'll be able to hold on to it.
And at all times, the club must be kept in a very firm grip, never being loosened so that it can flop around or the hands come off of it at the top.
That's right. They have to have control of the club head, and in order to have control, you got to have a hold of the club.
And when they do have a tendency to loosen the grip, this is from over-swinging a lot of the times at the top, they loosen the grip, then they have to re-grip on the way down, and they're in real trouble.
Well, that causes many a fault.
All right. Well, Dave has one of the fine grips in golf. He uses the standard grip, and I think let's go through it very briefly from the start once again, Dave. You lay the club right across the palm of the left hand. It is a palm and finger grip. The grip is with the back 3 fingers of the left hand. The thumb is just over slightly to the right of the center line. The right hand faces the left hand, and the grip in the right hand is with the first 2 fingers and the thumb. Try that on for size. You've got yourself a good golf grip.
Hal, I think we overlooked one thing. We forgot the interlocking grip, which many players use today, and there are a few pros on tour using it, and by that they hook the little finger in the right hand and the index finger of the left in this fashion.
This, again, is a somewhat stronger grip than the overlap. Whichever it is, any one of the 3, work on that grip. When you've got a good grip, you've certainly helped your golf swing, right?
That's for sure, Hal.
Davey, let's go out and show them what happens when you hit that ball with a good golf grip.
Well, we'll try it.
Okay. Dave sets up to the ball very well. He's what I like to call a classic swinger, and he generates tremendous power. Very few pros can move the ball as well as this young fella. His sponsors, who make the Bristol golf clubs, are convinced Dave is one of the truly great players of modern golf, and most knowledgeable golfers heartily concur. Dave spends hours working just to develop his left side. And I've seen him hit 300 to 400 balls in this fashion. He will completely release the right hand at the moment of impact and carry the left arm right on through the shot. The entire left arm keeps swinging. There is no effort to hit the ball with the hands. Now, after some practice sessions like this, that left arm may ache a little, but when the chips are down and you call on it, it's ready to deliver. Now it's time to move along to another highly important club in the bag, and this is the 4-wood. I think we're going to ask Dave to answer a few questions for us regarding this particular club. I think if you'll take his advice, you'll find it'll save you a lot of shots as you go along. What do you say, Davey?
Well, that's right, Hal. The 4-wood, and I would say the average amateur's bag, is a very important club to him. He's a little scared of the 2 and 3 iron, and this 4-wood can take up that difference real well.
All he has to do, actually, if he wants to hit it as a 3 iron, is to just choke it up 3/4 of an inch or an inch and go ahead and hit it and let the club head work for him, right?
Well, that's right. The long irons you have to hit awful hard. I would say you have to be stronger to get them up, and this is everybody's main objective. They hate to see the ball go low to the ground or roll along the ground, and this is one thing the 4-wood can do. It gets you up. It's got the elevation or loft on it of a 4 iron, and you can get it up in the air and it'll stop a lot quicker.
Well, I know that I find it a lot easier to use the 4-wood. In fact, I use it a lot of times, replacing both the 2 and the 3 iron. The distance is not as exacting with the amateur as it is with the professional because, of course, he's not going to get the final scores. So you're going to show us now the various uses of choking the 4-wood and then of hitting it full, right?
Well, I hope to, Hal. I got to go over and get him.
Well, you need a little more work anyhow. I think you're getting a little fat and lazy. We'll see Dave out on the practice tee. This 4-wood is the most versatile distance club in the bag. With some practice, you can learn to use this club for all kinds of shots, varying anywhere from 160 to 200 yards. Simply by choking the club, that is, moving the hands down the shaft, you can adjust all the way from your maximum distance ability right down to a 4-iron shot. I think this shot will fully demonstrate the power that Dave generates as he moves into the ball. You will see the complete lateral shift of the hips forward with the left hip driving directly at the target and then turning out of the way to clear the way for the right elbow to drive through on the inside and project the club head right along the target line. In this shot, I want you to watch that right elbow. You'll notice that he never takes the club head outside the actual line. Making the turn away from the ball, the right elbow stays close to the side and drives through inside the hip, turning out of the way with the body so the right elbow can drive through on the inside and move the club head out along the line of flight. Now, once again, let's watch it and watch the pull down with the left arm. You'll notice the hips moving strongly to the left at the start of the downswing and then spinning out of the way as the left arm pulls the club down and out through the shot. Once again, here's the power swing. Notice how Dave sets up. His feet are squared to the line of flight, but the shoulders are slightly open. That is, the left shoulder drawn back slightly from the target, the turn away, the head in perfect position, the drive through with the left side, and the big finish with all the weight on the left side. Here is one of the classic young swingers in the game today. Now, hitting a 2 or a 3 iron is very difficult for the average amateur, so I suggest that they learn to use this 4-wood. They can get the same distance and with much more accuracy. Watch this as the 4-wood drives down and out through the ball, catching the ball first and then the turf, hit in the same manner as any iron. Right now we're going to play one of the tougher holes here at the beautiful Green River Golf Course just outside Corona, California. This is the 4th hole. It's a par 5, and Davey, come on in here. I want to talk a little bit about this hole. In each of our shows, as you know, Dave plays in competition with himself. Actually, he plays 2 balls on the same hole, playing 1 ball with 2 hands and then playing 1 ball with 1 hand to completely demonstrate the use of the left arm and the left hand in the golf swing. Davey, what about this par 5? It's a pretty good hole.
Well, Hal, this is, I would consider a real good driving hole. In fact, the best way to play it's down number 6 fairway if you can hit it over there, because you got a lot of trees on the left, and it doesn't dogleg until it gets about 140 yards from the green, and so you've got to keep the tee shot well right. And one thing about it, if you're lucky, you can get on in 2, and if you hit a little bit left, you've got to hook your second real quick.
And if you hit it too far left, you can take 7 or 8 and go on from there.
Yeah, you can keep playing till dark if it works out that way. The new rule they put in about the unplayable lies and whatnot and the ball out of bounds may help me here.
Fine. Well, Davy, on this particular hole now, just looking at it, I know you haven't played this hole as yet. What do you think you will hit for your second shot in order to reach the green?
Well,
if you hit your first, the tee shot good.
Yeah, let's get off the tee
We're
first.
assuming that.
I would say it's a 4-wood shot or a 3-wood shot, depending on the position I put the tee shot. Like I say, if I put it a little bit left, I got some problems. I got to keep him down and get him around.
Actually, on this particular hole, I think the big problem is proper placement of the tee shot and the correct distance, because there isn't too much trouble once you get past the dog leg, and around the green there's not too much problem on this hole.
No, there's out of bounds right and an out of bounds back and a bunker right, and not too much problem.
But I know but if you hit it on the green, you have no trouble.
Yeah, if you can get it on the green, I should be able to make a 5 if I can get it on there in 2.
Let's go see how you make out.
Okay, fine.
We'll be right down there, and we hope you'll go along with us. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Hank Bickler and Jim Joslin and all the nice folks at the Green River Country Club just outside Corona, California, for all their wonderful cooperation in helping us shoot some of these shows. This is Dave playing his first tee shot, the conventional shot, using both hands, keeping the right hand on the club throughout the swing. Dave has a little tendency to hook the ball once in a while off the tee, and he did in this particular case, pulling it somewhat to the left side of the fairway and slightly behind a large clump of trees guarding the left approach to the green. Now the shot with one hand, completely releasing the right hand at the moment of impact. Dave will gather at least as much distance as he does with both hands. However, he does have a tendency to hit this ball slightly to the right, either straight or faded, and on this particular hole, a little fade is exactly what he needs. Moves into it nicely, starts it out dead center down the fairway, fading slightly to the right side and winding up in almost perfect position on the right side of the fairway about 275 yards away. Dave's first tee shot, the conventional two-handed shot, is in a little tight to the trees. He's going to use a 4-wood. Now he has to start the ball well out to the right to get it underneath that big tree and then hook it and draw it back to the green. If he fails to draw it, he has all kinds of problems. Starting out nicely, heading just toward the bunker, guarding the right front part of the green, running just in over the left corner of the bunker and up about 20 feet from the pin. Now for his second shot, using the one hand, Dave is going to use a 2-iron. He has an almost straightaway shot at the green, but to give himself a little margin of safety, he will play it toward the right bunker and try to draw it in slightly. This will give him a little more area to work in underneath the tree. He'll keep the ball low, hit it at the bunker on the right side of the green, and try to draw it back into the pin. Starting out nicely, directly at the bunker, now hooking, moving in, landing just on the front edge of the green and running past about 16 feet from the hole. So Dave, nicely on, in good shape, putting for eagles with both balls. Here's the putt with the ball he has played with two hands. This is about a 20-footer. Pretty tough putt, has a nice little break to it. Strokes it up, coming down, breaks a little too much and misses it on the low side of the hole. Has his little tap in for a nice, easy birdie 4. Now Dave has a relatively simple putt here. It will break somewhat, but not very much, and he's just about 16 feet away. The green is in excellent condition, and he's trying to make 3. Takes the break, doesn't quite catch the corner of the cup, and once again it's an easy 4, 2 birdie 4s. That's pretty much our lesson for today on modern golf. Certainly hope that you've enjoyed the tips Dave gave you regarding the pitching wedge and the 4-wood. They're both highly important clubs. When you learn to use them properly, they're certain to help you to reduce those scores. Dave, congratulations on a very fine play on a very tough golf hole.
Well, thank you, Hal. I think by playing this hole, we show the best advantage of the left arm in the game, and I hope that the people will understand and help them in their game.
we know how important the left side is, and we hope that Dave's playing this way will help to get across the point to you. Might take a little 9-iron next time you go out and just practice swinging the club and releasing it. Once you got the full swing of the club, I think you'll appreciate it very much. I think that's about it for today. Hope that you'll be back with us again next week. In the meantime, this is Hal Scheidler speaking for Dave Hill and reminding you, keep your head down and your left arm straight, and believe me, you can break 80.